and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right. Yes. Hump day, baby. You made it to the halfway point of the week. Welcome in here to the Bureau, the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team. Across the great state of Mississippi, Bill and I have connected over the show King of the Hill. So what this show is we pretty much, it's like Bill and I are just standing out here on the curb. You know, he may or may not be enjoying a cold beverage. I'm just standing here I'm sitting here on my riding lawnmower. I was too lazy to walk down here to the end of the block. I just came down here on my riding lawnmower. Y'all come on out and join us. What do you want to talk about?
Everybody should have an alley like that to stand in.
Everybody should have a group of their people, Bill, that they just go stand out on the street.
Yeah.
And just watch things go by. And every now and then, like in King of the Hill, every now and then somebody goes, yep.
Yep.
That's, so that's kind of what this is today. No, like today, I think today's show could be about the 3 Ps. At least for the most part, the 3 Ps. Playoffs, presidents, and protocols. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, sounds serious.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not. None of it's really all that serious. But it sounds that way. I'm kind of like a good Baptist pastor. I have alliteration in my best preparation. Oh, playoffs, presidents, and protocols. Okay, so in today's show, there's some things I want to cover with you. I guess you would call it news. It's basically reporting of potential news, including the what looks like a real possibility, real discussions, not just an idea kicked around by us on the radio or sitting across the table from one another. Real conversations going on out there with decision makers about the possibility of expanding the college football playoff. Dun, dun, dun. I know you're not shocked, okay, but real conversations. I'll give you those details. And it's not 8 teams. What one person... And I know how we feel about unnamed sources, all that, okay. But I digress. There's some unnamed stuff out there where people are going, look, they're seriously talking about a 12-team model. Okay, get to it. I'll tell you those details, okay? Presidents. No, I'm not talking about Joe. I'm talking about Mark. Okay, in case you missed it, I'm not joking you. The Ncaa, okay, their board of directors, they are so removed from reality. The board of directors, they not only extended Mark Emmert's contract as the president of the Ncaa for 2 more years out to 2025, but they buried that news in a press release several pages down on Tuesday night at like 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. And just kind of tried their best to sneak it in there as best they could. And people caught on to it. And you just got to hear some of the details. Okay, so they extended Mark Emmert. We've covered it on this show before, how fed up everybody. It doesn't matter what we think, but it really does matter what coaches, ADs, and presidents of schools across the country think. And they are pretty much unanimous that the leadership in the NCAA has been really, really poor. They're all fed up with Mark Emmert. Nobody really out here publicly calling for his firing, but to go behind closed doors and for them to extend him for 2 years. So there's your presidents. I'll give you some of the details on that. And then the protocols. Now, you may or may not be fed up with me giving you COVID information. But I need to pass this along, I think, because if you're a fan of the SEC, it involves you potentially. So let me give you those details. First, though, I just want to say hello. And if you'd like to be a part of the show today, that'd be great. Lots of ways for you to do it. First up, comment on the live stream if you're tuned in on YouTube or Facebook. Hey to y'all. You drop me a comment over here on the live stream, I'll be able to see it. So just type it in, hit submit or post. Kind of like Sven just did over here on YouTube. He says, hello, everyone. And yeah, so drop it in there. I can see you that way. Also, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Boy, I had a decision to make last night. So Homecoming Queen was placing a new order at our local grocery store. And we've been doing the online deal. And when I say online, the drive-in pickup where, you place your order online, you do the substitutions, whatever, you drive up, you pull up into a specified parking space, and they bring the groceries out and put them in the back of your car. We started that way back when with COVID, and we just kind of continued to do it. But anyway, made a pickup last night, and I had a decision to make because my local store now carries Country Pleasing green onion flavor, the original smoked sausage, pork and pineapple, jalapeno and cheddar, and hold on, there's one more. I can't remember the other flavor, but now the local store here carrying a few more flavors. And I still went with the old tried and true. I got 2 packages of the jalapeno and cheddar. It's really my favorite. I have a hard time getting away from that. Anyway, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Here's a number, 885-ESPN, 601 number, 885-ESPN. And call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Love to hear from you. Here's a number to call, 995-1059, 601-995-1059. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Thank you very much. Okay. I apologize for the spitting and sputtering today. If you're watching the live stream, you can see that I turn my microphone off about every 10 seconds and either cough or clear my throat or something. Doing a lot of mowing and yard work, and allergies are kicking in. It's allergy season for me anyway. So I'll try to spare you on the radio from as much of that as I can. Okay, the SEC has updated COVID-19 protocols. What does that mean? And then I'll come to your reaction, your comments on it. So here's what it says at ESPN. This came out today. Southeastern Conference will not require fully vaccinated individuals, that'd be me, that'd be Bill, we got our shots, who are asymptomatic to participate in the league's surveillance testing program. Now, this is specifically what we're talking about here is athletes, okay? So these are team members, coaches, things like that. And this is according to updated versions of the COVID-19 protocols. So as long as they have approval from a local health authority, their team doctor or something like that, then any staff member, any player on an SEC team who has been vaccinated, okay, so either 2 shots of Pfizer or Moderna or 1 shot of Johnson & Johnson, you're vaccinated and you're a staff member, a coach, a player, whatever. They also are no longer going to have to quarantine after being exposed to someone with COVID-19. Well, that's potentially a big deal too. Now, you could obviously look back at some things that happened with quarantining and players missing stuff and all last year during football, but make it more current. Look at SEC baseball right now. We're about to have baseball and softball postseason. Teams around the SEC trying to make a run at their respective World Series. Well, if they've gotten a vaccine, I imagine most of them have, outside of maybe just the occasional personal choice of someone who doesn't want to get it for whatever reason. Coaches and players, they've all gotten it, but specifically players. We're not going to have any more of this. We got to quarantine for 14 days. We got to quarantine for 10 days. Remember when the Big Ten was quarantining people who had been exposed to COVID for like 20-something days? This whole vaccine deal has really changed the whole landscape of all this. And so here's the latest, greatest example for Southeastern Conference players and coaches. And what that means is, I think based on this, unless something changes, you don't have to worry about your Friday night starting pitcher. Now, if he gets COVID, if he tests positive for COVID, that's different, I guess. But if he's in the same room with a teammate and they're watching film together or watching an opponent or scouting an opponent, your Friday night starter's in the room with somebody who does test positive, Well, if that Friday night guy's got his vaccine, he doesn't have to quarantine. He's not missing any time on the mound. Okay, so there's where it's going to manifest. Sunbelt is kind of doing a similar thing. If y'all notice this, you ever notice how the Sunbelt and the SEC are sort of in sync with each other? You ever notice that? So the Sunbelt's doing it too. Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill told ESPN yesterday that his conference also has adapted its protocol for vaccinated individuals. So apparently the vaccine's doing a good job. I guess the numbers reflect that. And now the policies of our sports leagues are starting to change and morph as a result of that. Wanted to pass that along. There's one of the P's, protocols. And there you go. Sven was telling me that apparently Major League Baseball streams a game of the week on YouTube. I didn't know that. He's telling me the Twins and Indians, right? Sven, is Rooker in the Twins lineup? I know 2 days ago he got the start in the outfield, hit a home run. I don't think he played yesterday. Wondering if he's back in there today. I'll pull up the box score if you can't see it. The Pirate, watching on YouTube, said, Matt, do you think the NCAA will punish LSU for Will Wade and other stuff going on? Mark Emmert's daughter is married to Scott Woodward's son. Okay, so Woodward is the AD at the current athletics director at LSU. Mark Emmert is obviously the NCAA president. Yeah, no, I have no expectation whatsoever, Pirate, that the NCAA itself is going to do anything in the way of actual punishment of LSU for anything or for Will Wade. You shouldn't expect that. You shouldn't expect it. Let me kind of just set a baseline expectation on anything that regarding NCAA enforcement. Understand this. NCAA enforcement, from them looking down on college sports, that's a ghost that we all believe in. I almost say that facetiously because, frankly, I don't believe in ghosts. In one sense or the other, I don't believe in ghosts. But listen, that there's just no such thing anymore of NCAA enforcement. Just throw that out. The only time that schools are, in some way being punished is when the media has basically done the NCAA enforcement's job for them, has uncovered things for them, has gotten information or proof of this or that through a Freedom of Information Act request or something like that. The media does a job for the NCAA, and it becomes public enough that the NCAA can't afford not to do something. Like they are forced to do something. And then they all kind of work around it. You'll notice they always mingle with other quote-unquote penalties. They mix in there stuff like vacated wins, and you're supposed to believe it's a penalty. It doesn't punish anybody. Vacating wins is a big fat joke. It's laughable, but they'll tell you it's a penalty, and they'll even put it in the penalty structure, right? That's the NCAA for you. They're not really about anything. They're certainly not about going out here and curbing any activity, but they are about keeping up appearances. The NCAA is all about keeping up appearances for the most part, because if they can do that, then this sort of keep on keeping on sense of normalcy will continue to move down the road, and everybody's pockets fill up with money. That's really what they're about. They're not really about a level playing field in this sport or that sport. They don't really care about that. It's not their deal. Okay. So the idea that the police are in Indianapolis and they're looking down, they're going to come down here and punish you if you get out of line. You have to stop thinking of it that way. So sometimes schools will actually self-impose penalties just to get it over with and get it out of their hair. Really. Like maybe they're caught red-handed, or maybe it's, we can do this and go ahead and do this now and just get it over with, and it ain't going to hurt that bad. Let's just do that. They'll mitigate risk in certain areas. But anytime you've seen anything pretty negative pop up and there's rumors out there, what happens? The schools dig in and the NCAA goes away, ultimately. So if something other than those scenarios I just described actually take place, then let's just be surprised together. But I think on the front end, to have any other expectation from the NCAA is really sort of foolish at this point. They just have no credibility. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be this way, but it kind of is. The lack of credibility of the NCAA itself bleeds over for a lot of people into just college athletics. Like you think, college athletics doesn't have a whole lot of credibility, or, presidents or ADs or coaches or whatever. And that's kind of unfortunate, I think, because a lot of that is a residual effect of the governing body being such an overt joke, because that's really what the NCAA is. It's just a joke. And the longer it goes on, frankly, the sillier it is. I mean, they all kind of know it. I really do think, and a lot of really smart, well-intentioned people, presidents, ADs, coaches, commissioners, decision makers all over college athletics are doing a pretty good job in their scopes, whether it's their conference or their school or, their department, their team. And they get together and they're trying to, make some positive changes, whether it's playoffs in football or whether it's, seeding in basketball and this committee and that committee and oversight committee for football and name, image, and likeness. And they're trying to do all that. But it's a little bit of a distraction from what I think is an overall bigger issue, maybe an even more important issue, and that is, should, in large part, a group of schools out here just break away and go do their own thing? Okay, they're also dependent on TV money. Well, I got news for you. There's a group of 4 or 5 conferences where every game they can play, they can get a TV partner to pay them all kinds of money for it. You think CBS or ESPN cares whether, the SEC or the Big Ten is hooked into the NCAA? They don't care about that. They just want the game. I want the programming, and I'll pay you for it. That's all they care about. So the issues are big. They will figure it out, but they will not be the NCAA. The NCAA is not figuring out anything. Stuff will get settled as soon as the NCAA is pushed over to the side, really kind of as a governing body, really where it belongs. And that's just my opinion. Real unnamed texter said that, and I bet you are. He says he's really excited that his local stores are now selling Country Pleasin' 3 cheese flavor. You should be. That stuff is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Louvier told us that he made pancakes and blueberry maple sausage Saturday night. Legit. Wasn't it great with pancakes? Blueberry. You have the original maple, which is fantastic, and then you have blueberry maple, a more like a newer flavor from Country Pleasin'. It's outstanding. True Maroon says, can't wait to watch Uneven. There's a chance. Thanks, True Maroon. There's a chance for a plug. This is where I need, every time I do a little selfish plug, I ought to have my little bell ready where you hit the sound effect and it goes bing, but I don't have it handy. I'd have to look through all these sounds. But you get the point. Here's a plug. Bing. Yeah. I've used the word documentary, and it's definitely in the vein, in the style of a documentary film, but it's not true to every documentary form. It's maybe a little more informational mixed in there as well, with context from the college baseball world about the uneven situation in college baseball scholarships, the way baseball is governed and restricted as compared to other sports in the NCAA model. And we got a film that's coming out in basically 1 month. It'll be at the end of May. And it is named Uneven. If you're unaware of it, you can check out unevenbaseball.com. Let Boomhauer tell you, it's easy to get on the internet and just click away.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, get in there and talk about www.com, and you got then on there, man, you go click, 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 click. It's real easy.
It's real easy. Unevenbaseball.com. Check it out. Thanks, True Maroon. Anthony says, I wish they could get some of that maple and maple blueberry up here in Tupelo. Yeah, we'll get it soon. I'll let you know if I see it. Chris sent me a picture. Is he trying to say that I drink too much coffee? Or is that, do I drink the right amount? No. Okay. It says, A new study links drinking more coffee to a longer lifespan. And then at the bottom it says, awesome, I'm going to be immortal. Yeah. Get your coffee at High Point Roasters in New Albany. highpointroasters.com. Nick says, any idea when the NCAA is going to announce host sites for the regionals? I thought they were doing it at the end of this month. Well, I think it's actually early May, Nick, is when they're going to announce it. If I go back and remember what we read, it seems like they said potential host sites get their bids in a month earlier this time around than they normally would. Normally they do it in May, early mid-May. So it was early mid-April, get the bid information in of how you're going to host. And I think they said they would announce the host sites for the upcoming NCAA tournament in early May. Right? So I think we're still a little ways away from it. On that note, though, it's interesting you mentioned that because right before the show came on, a buddy of mine texted me, was asking me a question about it, and he sent me the link for the new projections over at d1baseball.com, the new projected field of 64. And there's a change in the host sites, according to d1baseball.com, and what they're projecting. And I'll tell you what those are when we come back. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard.
For great sports talk. I'm talking way back. It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone.
Rolling along with you here, just getting started on this Wednesday in the Bureau. Farm Bureau Studio, I'm Matt. Bill is here. We're in the Bureau. Most importantly, though, you are here. Appreciate y'all being here today. Pulling up a chair, having a seat at the table with us, and joining the conversation. Comment on the live stream, or shoot me a text, or give me a call. Lots of different ways to get to hear from you. That's the way I like it. Jeremy on the Country Pleasing text line said, any rumors on why Ole Miss terminated their offensive line coach? Isn't he one of the better ones in the nation? Terminated, strong language. Yeah, I mean, that's fired. They fired him after the spring game. Yeah, I don't know, like you say there's any rumors. I guess that's all there is, right? Unless you talk to the people themselves. Anything outside of that could just be a rumor. I did see a tweet today that referenced the Neil McCready report at Rebel Grove. Those guys do a phenomenal job. I think they probably do the best job of anybody in the state covering Ole Miss, and are as plugged in and as thorough and have different ways to follow them. So Chase and Neil and those guys seem to do a really good job. But anyway, I saw a tweet that referenced their report on it. And, he was saying that both he and Chase and their sources were talking about there had been a little bit of friction, I guess is the right word, but just basically difference of philosophy, of opinion of how they should handle the offensive line, differing between Kiffin and the O-line coach, even going back to last year. And then it talked about how Jeff Lebby, the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, and Clements, the line coach, are big buddies. They're tight. There's kind of there. That's my boy sort of thing. And that Kiffin firing him was done before Lebby knew about it. Lebby not happy about it. And people wondering and all that kind of stuff about it. But, look, I mean, people get fired. It's football. You never know. And that stuff's pretty normal outside of some controversy or scandal, which they say there's nothing like that involved with this. So if it's a difference of philosophy, or they just don't get along, or they just had enough of each other then the head coach makes the call. That's why you hire a head coach. Kiffin is the head coach. What he says goes. It's his team. It's his program. And hats off, more power to you. If you're an assistant coach on anybody's staff and you differ from the head coach in philosophy or in the way you want to teach it or in who you want to play and who you want to recruit, okay, for standing up and saying your opinion. And maybe you argue with him. Maybe you go toe-to-toe. You stand up for what you believe in. Good. But at some point, if the head coach decides, I don't want you here anymore, then guess what? It's the head coach's decision. That's why you hired him. That's why he's making the most money. It all falls back on him. So he's got to be happy with the decision. He's got to make it work. If you got into next year, if a head coach kind of acquiesces and just turns the assistant loose and lets him run the show and recruit who he wants to recruit and play who he wants to play, and you start having problems, you lose some games because of it, guess who's going to answer the questions at the press conference? It ain't the offensive line coach. It's the head coach. Guess who's probably, if things turn south, who's first on the chopping block? The head coach. So it's Kiffin's deal. So if there's people out there who have a problem with Lane Kiffin trying to manipulate his staff to get it the way he wants it, well, then what'd you hire him for? That's what I would say. So outside of controversy and scandal, head coach has got to have an assistant coach on the same page with him. And if it ain't going to work and neither are going to budge, then guess who's going to win that one every single solitary time? The head coach. And so if they put the language in there that it was best for both parties to split, probably true. That's what I think about it. Anthony was saying that the regional stuff was supposed to be announced on May the 10th. Okay, the D1 baseball projected 64 teams and regional sites and all of that. They updated it yesterday on Tuesday on their website. You can go see it yourself. The big change there that I see is that they don't have Ole Miss hosting now. D1 baseball field of 64 projections for yesterday have seed number 1, host site Arkansas. These are your national seeds. Number 2, Vanderbilt. Number 3, TCU. Number 4, Mississippi State. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, Tennessee. And number 8, Texas. Okay, so the remaining 8 seeds, spots 9 through 16, hosting regionals, they have Nebraska, Pittsburgh, South Carolina, Charlotte, Louisville, Stanford, East Carolina, and Arizona. So the most recent projections at D1, they don't have Ole Miss hosting. Where do they have Ole Miss as a 2 seed? Where do they have them going? Scrolling. Where are they? Dadgummit, I can't see it. All right. They have, in the Starkville regional, this again is just a projection, is where they have Southern Miss projected to go as the 2 seed to Starkville. They have Miami, the Hurricanes, the 3 seed in Starkville, and they have Jackson State, the SWAC champs, as the 4 seed in Starkville. They have Ole Miss right now as a 2 seed at the Louisville regional. 1 seed Louisville, 2 seed Ole Miss, 3 seed Indiana, 4 seed Morehead State. And those things can ebb and flow and change. You want to read through those, you can see them yourself, but that was the projections that we referenced just a little bit ago, and looks like we're still a couple of weeks away from getting word on which sites the NCAA has awarded as hosts. Hey, back on the NCAA discussion from earlier, also, Pig Fan on the text line, Country Pleasing text line, there's a little irony in there or something, says, since the death penalty was given to SMU football by the NCAA and the aftermath was detrimental for that program, the penalties for violations have become just a slap on the wrist by the NCAA to the sports programs that violate rules. And I think you're right, for the most part. Everybody recovers from it, and even the recent, within the last 10 years, the big, long investigation into Ole Miss football. And everybody kind of knew that they were breaking a lot of rules. There was a lot of money going under the table and recruiting, and just out of nowhere, they went from like bottom rung recruiting and everything else to just make a coaching hire. At the time, nobody had heard of Hugh Freeze, and next thing you know, bam, top 5. They signed everybody from Chicago to Atlanta. Everybody kind of knows what's up, but even during their investigation, that long investigation of the NCAA, it's one of those where we all freak out. Everybody's like, oh, it's going to be so bad. And then it turns out, even when the penalties came down, even if you thought they were bad or not, the recovery process is relatively quick for most places compared to what the expectation is on the front end. The best example would be Alabama. They had the textbook thing in about 2007, 2008. Y'all can go back and look all this up. It's public. It's just Google it, They had the textbook thing at Alabama like 07, 08. And the scandal was players would go through and get their textbooks, right? stuff like this was happening. Instead of getting, I'm just using a hypothetical example, instead of getting one freshman algebra textbook, they go through the line, they come out of there with 2. They got 2 textbooks. So instead of returning one, they took one of those freshman algebra textbooks and sold it to, I don't know, some wealthy lawyer's daughter. You know, she's a Phi Mu over here. She's a freshman. She needs an algebra book. So the football player sells it to her for about, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000. You know, it's just sold the book. It's just a markup. It's pretty rampant. They catch him, they zap him a little bit, you know, and the worst penalty they got was having to vacate wins. And which the only person that really punishes is the poor sports information director has to take out his virtual eraser and redo the media guide before next media days. Poor kid, he's like locked in a closet in there, pecking away at the computer, redoing the history books. It's the only person that vacating wins has ever punished. Was, you know, whoever gets the grunt work on the media guide. But I digress. And right about that time, around 08, 09, the NCAA put out a statement. And the statement said this: the University of Alabama has a history of infractions and penalties unmatched by any other member institution. And I'm serious, it's like 08. And they were saying, nobody's ever been punished more than them over the history of this whole arrangement. And within 2 years, they were undefeated in the Sugar Bowl and winning national championships just like this right here. I mean, they recovered pretty quickly, and most teams and places do. In the grand scheme of things, they just recover quickly. I've got a lot of comments on the live stream too, on Facebook and on YouTube, and I'm going to get to some of those coming up next. So we had the 3 Ps we're going to talk about today: playoffs, presidents, protocols. We got to add one more: projections. We just talked about those. Any more we can add in there? Any more alliteration? Let's see what we can come up with. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau studio. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. True? Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, genes do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
Is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert, Jello instant pudding.
Here we go. Where were we? Where were you, for that matter? Where'd you go? Y'all comment, texts. Let's see, as promised, lots of folks commenting and getting the conversation going over here on the live stream. Folks on YouTube, Facebook, elsewhere. Y'all hit me up, drop a comment. Steve said on Facebook that former Bulldog Alvin McKinley was inducted into the Mississippi Community College Sports Hall of Fame last night. Congrats to Alvin, former teammate. I got to be his teammate for a couple of years. Seems like, Alvin played JUCO ball. Where did he play? Holmes? Was he at Holmes Community College for a couple of years? Yeah, and then came to us. Alvin and his brother Dennis. I got to be teammates with both those guys, and both went on and played NFL football. So congrats to him. Hope he's doing well. Yep. Yeah, okay. And somebody's saying that Mark Emmert is a joke. And that's the other thing. Presidents, that's one of the P's that we talked about today. I just mentioned it. They extended him. I'll get into some of those details maybe a little later. Or if you want to get into them now, we can. We can take a look at that story. But it's, it's almost a little bit discouraging that, the presidents and people on this board of directors for the NCAA just blindly go out here and extend Mark Emmert as the president for 2 more years. And the immediate reaction, unanimously, and I know the definition of that word, unanimously from the leaders across college sports. We're talking conference commissioners and ADs and presidents at schools. Was like, you did what? No. Tell me it ain't. Surely not. Yeah, and that was kind of the reaction. The Pirate on YouTube says, do you think the new CDC guidelines that the attendance will increase for the regional? It doesn't make sense that they would want 50%, but it's okay for Vandy mosh pit above the dugout. Well, I mean, it's not just Vandy. It's really anywhere. The week before, Vanderbilt's coach, when they had to go to Tennessee, was referencing the Tennessee crowd. They kind of crammed them in there, and they had students that were heckling them, So it's the second time this year that an opposing coach has complained about the heckling from the Tennessee fans who've now all of a sudden gotten involved in baseball, which I think is a good thing. Okay, and then they come home and they encourage people, hey, we need your support, and they had some support this weekend. Still, none of that really compares to what you have had in recent weeks at State and at Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss has had games with 11,000 people. States had games with 10,000. They have one game announced with over 13,000. And I was there the day they announced 13,000. I promise you, if there were 13,000 there were 15,000. That's just the truth, okay? And so you go, well, 50% capacity. Yesterday we had the whole stuff about the outdoor thing. What I think, Pirate, is the idea of trying to figure out which way that's going to go from the CDC, these governing bodies that are trying their best to PR their way through some of the COVID stuff as it is, instead of just flat line, here's what we need to do. Trying to figure out which way they're going to go with that is almost futile. We can't figure it out because there's no logical way to grab onto it. Clayton said, I just saw where you were interviewed by the 11.7 people, excited to give it a listen. Yeah, it's some guys who do a really good, fun and consistent college baseball podcast. It's called 11.7. And you can look up, spell out the word point, look up 11.7.com. You can find them. And I was on their podcast last night. We had a long conversation. They were asking about this film that we've been working on and promoting and we'll have out at the end of next month. So, yeah, go listen to that. We had a discussion about it and enjoyed being on there. Sure did. So we had the P's today. What was it again? All right, so playoffs, presidents, protocols, and then projections. Saints fan SB09 said add another one, probation, as in LSU. Didn't they already self-impose some probation? Yeah. Sven is asking about 11.7. Where that comes from, Sven, is that is the amount of scholarships that a Division I baseball program is allowed to give out. Athletic scholarships. Division I baseball teams have 11.7 total athletic scholarships to give out to their 27 scholarship players. And then the podcast, Clayton, there on YouTube has kind of given you a little bit of an explanation of some of that. Bob, in regards to those projections from D1 baseball on the postseason stuff, Bob said, I really like the D1 prognostication on the baseball seeding. Number 4 national seed sounds great. Yeah, I mean, it does, just because, the other teams are seeded accordingly also. Like the higher seed you are, supposedly the less tough your 4 seed is and some of those kinds of things. Didn't always shake out that way, but yeah, you're in good shape. And Jason, I didn't realize that. So Lipscomb beat Tennessee last night, 4-1. How about that? That's like one of the first major midweek hiccups from these elite SEC teams this year. You haven't had a lot of those, head-scratching midweek losses for the top teams in the SEC this year. That's kind of one of the first ones. Okay, playoffs. I keep mentioning that. Let me give you this story. There's stuff out there saying they're going to go to 12 teams. All right? Here's what it says. I'm going to give you the first line of a story. Concerned that their 4-team product has been harmed by the dominance of a select few teams from the same region, FBS commissioners are seriously considering expanding the college football playoff. While it's been long assumed that any change to the format would be modest or just barely make a change, incremental, it says here, several influential decision makers are suddenly open to a playoff system that skips past 8 teams and goes right into the double digits. How about this quote from one Power 5 athletics director? Quote, I sense 12 teams is building support. Nick Saban said he doesn't like it.
Well, I think the playoff, as I said many years ago, when we first had just 2 teams in the playoff, and we expanded to 4, that the more playoffs we have, the less significant bowl games are going to be. So it's really not for me, and I don't think I'm even capable of judging how significant the positive self-gratification so many players get, so many programs get, so many coaches get for being able to go to a bowl game. And now everything is shifted to the 4 teams in the playoffs, and the bowls seem to be pretty insignificant. So I think if we expand the playoffs, you're going to see a continuation of that trend where the bowl games become less and less significant. And maybe these two things can't coexist.
All right, so that's a fact. And I would say to you then, to add on to that, and we can continue this discussion later, to make some of the bowl games less significant, how's that even possible? I mean, right now you've already got 40-something bowl games. He said the self-gratification that some players and teams get. That's what it is, okay? But we were talking about, we had that discussion a while back about this, talking about the NIT in basketball. We're tired of it. It's not really something to get excited about. It is if you're on the team, but for me outside, I don't care about it anymore. I'm tired of it. Well, and then someone called in and goes, well, what's the difference between these low-level bowl games? You know what? There is no difference. There it is, straight up. There is no difference. Okay, there's bowl revenue for all these games, and that's important to the programs in the schools. There's the TV product. That's really important for ESPN. Makes total sense. We all got bowl games on with teams we hadn't watched all year long throughout the month of December and January. Okay, good. Good for them. We got something background while we're over here at a family get-together, eating chocolate-covered pretzels and waiting to break out the entree and open presents and play Dirty Santa later. That's fine, but it's just background. They sell it. They make lots of money. Everybody's getting what they're wanting, but to say that it's significant, it's not. I get it. This is Matt saying, hey, back in my day, I walked to school uphill in the snow for 2 miles barefoot. Okay, I get it. But listen, when I was in college, not that long ago, it doesn't seem like, we had 16 bowl games total. You understand that? In the late 90s. In 99, we went to the Peach Bowl. We beat Clemson there in Atlanta. That was my last year in college. And our team beat Clemson in the Peach Bowl. And I think it was one of 16 bowl games, or one of 18. 2 years earlier, in 1997, we were playing an 11-game schedule. We went 7-4. We didn't go to a bowl game. You know why? There weren't any more bowl games. 16 of them total. Even back then, even though you weren't in the national championship, to actually go to one of those bowl games is pretty significant because it was a select few that got to do it. Now, half of Division I college football is playing in bowl games. We have more games than we have eligible teams. There is no significance. If Nick Saban says it would lessen the significance of some of the bowl games, to me, that statement is really significant because I'm going, in other words, why have them? That's how little significant a lot of them would be. He's saying if you expand the playoff. Well, I would tell you it's fine. Continue to have the consolation games and send the money to the conferences, and TV gets to make theirs, and we get to watch football. But don't pretend as if they are significant games. They're not. They haven't been for a long time. Hour 2 coming up in the Bureau. Y'all stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down.
If you go to countrypleasin.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country Pleasin' sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Can appear to be hard. Taking regular, daily, small steps to deal with our problems leads us towards our ultimate goals. Remember, yard by yard, life is hard. Inch by inch, life's a cinch. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
Time.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right, let's go. Hour number 2, off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team, Farm Bureau Insurance, your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. They are your hometown heroes. Just trust me on that because they do things the way it ought to be done. Personal, one-on-one, get to know them. If something comes up, you got a person you can talk to. Same thing with C Spire, a great Mississippi company. We staying connected to you because of C Spire. I'm really excited because they are doing the construction. C Spire fiber to the home internet's going to be here really soon, and they're digging trenches in our neighborhood, and we're happy about it. So we'll be clicking along with that C Spire fiber here really soon where I live, and hope you get it where you are too if you don't already have it. A lot of places already have it. All right. Lots to get into with you here in hour 2. And now we just started touching on this idea of playoff expansion. I know that it seems to be a little bit of an evergreen topic, meaning it comes up a lot. It never goes away. It's just always there. But there's some new stuff. They wrote about it, meetings that popped up over the last, weeks and months, and information starting to flow out of that. And I do think that it's surprising, was for me anyway, that the movers and shakers, decision makers in college sports are thinking about 12 teams going from 4 to 12 as opposed to 4 to 8, which 8 teams, what we've all been talking about. What does a 12-team model look like? We can get into some of that also. And I'd love to know what you think about it. Let me know and drop a comment on the live stream if you're tuning in. That way, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, just type it in there, hit, comment, and I see it all in one place. I can get to it that way. And then text me on the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' Sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is 885-ESPN. That's how you text me, 885-ESPN, 601 number. Call me on the Davini phone. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Here's a number to call me there on the Davini phone, 995-1059. 995-1059. A few texts at the back end of hour 1. Let me see here. Coffee Norman. What's up, Coffee Norman? I got a cup full of hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. HighPointRoasters.com. Get your coffee there. You'll be glad you did. Roasted locally. Coffee Norman says, if Ole Miss does not make it as a regional host, with the weird regional type safety/COVID thing supposedly a consideration, watch what happens as they're going to be sent to Starkville as the number 2 seed. You think so? It'd be a real shame if they did that this year when you're limiting capacity, wouldn't it? Right now, they are projecting Ole Miss in the Louisville regional as a 2 seed, but the season's got a long ways to go. If they turn it on and start sweeping people or something, they'll be right back in there as a host. That's, it's just a projection is all it is. Speaking of the 3 Ps, Uncle D said the 3 Ps. How about Jerry Clower's take on Family Feud with fruits that start with the letter P? I don't know that one, Uncle D. I'll have to watch it there on YouTube, see what he said. What, pineapple? What else? Free American said, the Outback Bowl knows what they're doing. Free appetizer to the winning team? Is that what you meant? Free appetizers to the winning? What, every player on the team, if you win the ball game, it's free appetizers for what? A whole year? Once you get a free appetizer? What is that? I'm going to need a little more explanation there, Free American. Thank you very much. On the live stream earlier, Bob commented over on Facebook and he said this: the mosh pit at Vanderbilt with several football players. The new football coach at Vanderbilt and Tim Corbin are very close. Some of their footballers and a couple of our baseball players got kind of chippy as the weekend went on. Some old school coaches would have some quote-unquote boys running gassers and other fun punishment. Win with class, lose with dignity. That's according to Bob. Yeah. So that's what was behind Logan Tanner when he rounded second base, hitting that home run in the Saturday game. He blew a kiss over there in the direction of the Vanderbilt dugout. I thought he was blowing the kiss to the opposing team, but you're telling me it was the fans on top of the dugout. I guess that would make a little more sense. All right. Let's hit the Davini Equipment phone line right now. We got Kobe hanging on line one. What's up, Kobe?
Hey, what's going on, Matt? I hear you raising sand about the playoff, and I'm a big proponent of leave it at 4. If you can't top the crack 4, come back next year. I'm a big fan of competition. I do not want to see blowout. Saban is right, and from a standpoint of the playoff itself has diminished the importance of bowls. And even though you don't want it expanded, it's going to be expanded. But to go to 12 is just, insane, really. 8, fine, 12. You might as well have an NCAA football tournament, But to maximize competition, even at 8 teams, if you look at how it's seeded, you got one playing 8. First game going to be a blowout 9 times out of 10. You might have that once every decade performance where the upset comes, but, it's not really broke. Let's not try to fix it. 4 teams and all the fuss that causes is what makes it exciting now. Just really leave it alone. And if you can't top the crack 4, do something, make a splash, upgrade the talent where it's more likely of a shot. But leave it at 4 is my opinion.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who feel like you do, Kobe, and some people feel like keeping it at 4, even though they don't really know if it's the best answer. But there seems to be a lot of people too that are cautious, going, "Hey, look, you went with the playoff. We all got excited, and it turns out it ain't really that much better than what we had. If you do it this time, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to expand it. We're going to get excited. It turns out it ain't going to be that much better than what we had." So people are skeptical. My question for you as someone who likes it at 4, I guess what that means, Kobe, is, am I right? You're not tired of seeing some of the same teams in there every year. I think we lost
he
Kobe.
hung up, man.
Okay, he gone. He gone. That's what I would assume. He's not tired of it. But see,
You just want to make a statement.
yeah, I think most people who follow college football, most are a little bit tired of seeing the same teams there every year in the playoff.
Okay, he's back now, man.
We got him back. Okay, hey, Kobe, so
Sorry, man.
That's okay.
I wasn't going to take on too long. But, yeah, that's sort of how I feel. They give us enough drama, We don't always know it's going to be the same 4 teams, But I look at it like this. I went to Jackson State. I'm a JSU alum. I don't care. Even if it is 12, if they go undefeated, they're going to have to do that 4 or 5 years straight to have a shot at a playoff. So coming from a school where it's kind of implicit that you're not going to really play for a football national championship, I don't care about these other schools' feelings who be like, oh, well, they won't let us in, Well, do something to where they have no choice. For instance, UCF, if they had to win undefeated 3-4 years in a row instead of just 1 or 2, they probably would have had another shot. But, I really don't. Because, like you said, you create the same problem. When it get 8, that's not going to be enough. When it's 12, that's not going to be enough. That's people. A guy said it on Feinbaum show yesterday. People forget that's the one fun thing about sports. Got to be a winner, got to be a loser. We don't hand out competition trophies or participation trophies in competitive sports. That's why it's competitive, and people strive to do the best. So leave it how it is and make people strive to get in that top 4, So
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm going to hang up this time and let you
Okay.
have it.
All right. Thanks, Kobe. Yeah, appreciate your phone call. Appreciate your thoughts on it. Here is a quote. All right. Now, this is from the same article outlining that a 12-team playoff expansion model really is apparently, according to this, building some support. Here's a quote from someone, an administrator. He says, there are 2 unintended consequences people didn't see when they created the playoff. 1, seeing the same teams over and over from one part of the country. It's impairing the product because there's boredom. There's risk to not having enough geographic spread. And then he goes, secondly, the brand damage to a conference that doesn't get in. since when did brand damage really factor into anything? See, Kobe, what you said, and repeating what a caller on the Feinbaum show said, or what someone said, that's why we live sports. There is a winner and there is a loser. And I'm just going, I think what I have to probably understand is that we live in a world now where, at least, from a decision-making standpoint, the dollars have gotten so big that the decision-making has become less pure. Now, you may hear me say that and you go, Matt, how naive can you be? How could you even say that? I think what I'm doing is just stating the obvious. It's not like I had this big epiphany and just realized that. But think about what I'm saying here. The dollars have gotten so big in big-time college football that now the decision-making on stuff around the country is it's way, way, way more capitalistic and way, way less pure in how they are looking at it. Competitive. The competitive angle of this, a lot of it is not even on the field anymore. The competitive angle is, how many dollars can we rake in as compared to you? All right, that's just where we are. Because we got a comment here from one administrator that says the number 2 unintended consequence when they created the playoff was brand damage to conferences that don't get in the playoff. And I'm going, that was an unintended consequence? How could it be unintended? You went with 4 teams. You got five power conferences. That's just the power conferences. The 6th would be the AAC with some real, sure enough, teams and schools with great players and coaches in big markets, Cincinnati, Orlando. They're the 6th, and you went with a 4-team playoff, and you're telling me it was an unintended consequence that there's brand damage when your conference doesn't get in? Really? So, look, say what you want, but if that's a factor, if that's a real factor, and it really there's brand damage for the Pac-12. They hadn't sniffed the playoff. Not gonna at 4 teams. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State are dominant. They have out-recruited everybody. If they want them, they get them. How? It doesn't matter how. We've already covered that. It doesn't matter. Why does it matter? It doesn't matter in reality how they get them. They get them. They get the players. They are dominant. But Oklahoma, yeah, they count in the mix too. There's a Grand Canyon, man. Listen, I'm telling y'all, that's what you have in college football. And what I would tell you, Kobe, is that expanding the playoff right now, as it is, expanding the playoff and putting more teams in it, you can put 80 teams in there. I don't care. It's still the same 2 or 3 that are that much better than everybody else. They're on the other side of the Grand Canyon over there. Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. There they are. Way over there. What about LSU? I don't want to hear about LSU. They're way over there. So go ahead and put more in there. And you go, well, if that's the case, Matt, see, you're saying it right now. If that's the case, Matt, if there's a Grand Canyon between them and us, what's the point in having an expanded playoff? Well, I got an administrator right here in black and white print that says the number 2 unintended consequence of this playoff has been brand damage for teams that didn't get in. So by expanding, everybody gets teams in. And maybe, just maybe, we eliminate brand damage. Not brain damage, brand damage. Why is brand so important? You know why? Money. Money, 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 money. TV deals, TV contracts, nationwide interest, viewership, ratings. We need it all to increase. And we can't be having our brand being damaged, because if we continue that, our money's decreasing and our viewership decreases and the scope of the sport decreases. That's what it is. Now, I'm not saying it negatively. They're right. You want to grow the sport? You want to get more people watching your postseason, more people interested coast to coast instead of just one part of the country? Put more teams in. But let's don't gloss over the fact that that's really kind of what it's about. Now, whether or not expanding it and putting more teams in a playoff scenario gives us the occasional David slaying Goliath, that's a different discussion. Naturally, you up the chances it happens if you give it the opportunity to happen. But it's a different discussion. Over here on line 1 on the Devaney Equipment phone line, Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner,
Matt,
Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner. See, I even know your
Play it,
fight
baby,
song.
play it. Hey man, play. You know what would be the best is if the Sonic Boom played that.
Oh, wouldn't
Then
it be fantastic? We'd have something.
Oh
then.
my God, we'd have a gold record. Hey, look, this is all about the money. It's all it is. It's expand the playoffs just like they did with the basketball. I'm old enough to remember when the basketball playoffs were 16 teams. That's it. And then they figured out, hey, we can make a little bit more money if we do. And then we said, oh, but we can make a lot more money if we do it to 64. And even at 64, they're still sitting there scratching and go, well, we've got a few teams that deserve to be in.
Let's let them play in.
So let's expand to 68 and have a play-in game. And we'll still be at 64, but we're going to get a few more in there, and it's all about money. And that's all this is about.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all, and especially after 2020, the schools took a huge money hit last year. Huge.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of money on. So they're looking for ways to expand, and you're right. You got schools, the Pac-12, that can't even sniff the playoffs, and the only way they're going to sniff it is if they expand it to 12 teams.
Right, and you know what? Boomer Sooner, I was just going to say,
Pac-12 would still qualify.
I agree with that. If you go to 8, there's a chance they still get left out. And you know what I was going to say too, Boomer Sooner? You know what? Like, let's just say if you're a diehard Oklahoma fan and Oklahoma finds itself via the playoff in the national title game, or I'll even say it, a place like my school, Mississippi State, once every 10 years or so, they might have a great team and have a shot to get in the playoff and do something. And you know what? I want the entire country to watch my team play. Well, the fact is, if the playoff's bigger and there are Pac-12 teams in it and more Big Ten teams in it, well, the fact is there will be more eyes watching the postseason product. I believe that. Now, what's the cycle? Are we going to get tired of that after 4 years and the ratings go down? Well, maybe so, but I think if we're being honest, expanding it to more areas of the country probably is a benefit.
Oh, well, as far as attracting more viewers, absolutely, no doubt about it. Right? Yeah. I mean, you're fooling yourself if you think, okay, they don't even have a California market for the playoffs because I mean they don't, and right, but still they're going to sell it as well. At 4 teams, we always have a couple of teams that really probably should have been in, but they didn't quite make it or whatever. They got a bad break or a bad call that kept them out of the playoffs, and so we'll expand it to 8. And then it's just like with the basketball playoffs. They started off with 16. Okay, but that team 17 and 18 and 19, they really could have been in, but they just didn't quite make it. But somehow, let's expand that so we can include everybody. That's all. It's just they sell it like it was to include, to give everybody a fair shot, but really it's just about generating more money. Yeah. That's all it's about. Yeah. That's all. So the TV contract would be monster.
Yeah. It really
if they
would.
had a 12-team playoff and you guaranteed teams from the West Coast and the East Coast and along with the SEC and the Big Ten,
That's right.
The TV contracts would be billions of dollars.
I think you're right.
Not hundreds of millions, but billions. So it'd be NFL type contract.
Sure. Yeah, good call, Boomer Sooner. Great to hear from you. Thank you. I think you're probably right, and that's when your last line, when you said, okay, the contracts would grow on the TV stuff and it would be in the NFL category. Well, if we're saying that's true, then that's saying something, because in that regard, the NFL is king and in a big way. And there's different perspectives to look at it. Joseph here on Facebook says 4 teams is enough. Putting half the top 25 in is getting into the NBA and NHL range, half of the top 25. But then I step back and I think about it. Let's admit, y'all, one of the issues in college football that has caused this gigantic gap between basically 3 programs, Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State, and everybody else. One of the factors, a big factor that's created that gigantic gap, is the recruiting part of it. The reloading with this just incredible wealth of 4- and 5-star talent that those places are getting that others just aren't going to get. And you have to wonder, I don't know the answer myself. We all have opinions, but you do have to wonder if the playoff and the ultimate prize, the perception initially is that it is opened up to more teams and more schools, maybe that helps team number 10 and 11 and 12, and in some cases 7 and 8, to attract and sell themselves to the more of the 4s and 5s to say, we got the same shot. We're getting in. Because right now at 4 teams, you're a 5-star recruit. You want to play in the playoff in a championship game? You're hoping Alabama or Ohio State calls you, or Clemson. Stick around.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota subcompact and compact.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Design a jean. And before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Back to the guy who loves his banana pudding. It's the Matt Wyatt Show. Live in the studio. Online at thezone1059.com. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Hey, back. Back. We have the best listeners on this show. It is, y'all just don't understand how fortunate we are. And in the case of this show, Bill and I, other shows as well, but how fortunate we are that y'all listen and tune in and participate the way you do. I wish there was a bigger, better way to thank you. I'm sure there are some things, whether it's Listener Appreciation Day and we have some event where you can show up, but not everybody lives in the same place, whatever. I wish you could understand how appreciative I am of your thoughts, your interaction, your comments. It's this conversation we get to have. I've said it before, y'all, I think, understand where I'm coming from on this. If it was a deal of, I stand up here and for 3 hours every day, bloviate on whatever it is I think. And it's just me, and I'm really going to just tell you how you ought to think. I don't know that I could hang on to that, but getting to, have your phone calls and get your text messages and read your comments, and it all gets interwoven here as a part of the thread that this show is. It's what makes it, and so I just want you to know how much I appreciate it. We're really fortunate. A lot of shows don't have it. Trust me, I know that. So we got a good thing going here, and I really do appreciate y'all. So with that said, you can call me. Appreciate Boomer Sooner and Kobe and everybody. Thibodeau, I know you called earlier, so hit me back if you've got time. I know you had to split and you're busy. Mac in Vicksburg and Ellis, Shoe, Anthony, Knox, Peter, Luke, Tyler, Doggone, Mansplain, Kobe, Jason, Denzel, Dog Tired, all y'all. I'm coming to your text here shortly. I wanted to read this on Facebook. Jason, you said, really the bowl games really don't matter anymore. Attendance is horrible. Instead of bowl sites, if you want to benefit the teams, make home sites to increase revenue to the schools. The gate, and you could do it in football, but it's pretty lucrative whether anybody shows up at those games or not, right? Because you got to think about this, Jason. And you think about, let's say, for instance, Birmingham or St. Petersburg, somewhere like that, and maybe they don't have a lot of attendance for their game. It's a different time slot. One of them's close to Christmas and all those kinds of things. But those municipalities, the cities, the local convention and visitors bureaus that are funded by public, by tax dollars there to bring more people into the city and spend more money in those areas, they are forking up big money bids to host the games. They are creating the game. They've got a stadium. They create the game, and then they go out here and use their funds to recruit conferences and TV coverage, right, to put this game together because they want the teams there. It's an advertising vehicle for them. And sure, they're going to have some people coming, but it's sort of a marketing hit also. So you just got to think about that. Whether there's a whole lot of people in stands or not, a lot of money has been exchanged and handed over to the conferences, and therefore, like in the SEC, to the teams, just the fact that they wanted to host one to begin with. And it works in conjunction with TV. That's why we have 48 or 50 bowl games, way more than we ought to have. They become like consolation games. That's why we have them. Okay? Because television, it works in conjunction with television. Think about it this way, and then I'm going to get back on track. So historical, really quick. Let's all grab a historical thought here. In 2021, we live in the age of the internet. Think about, if you're old enough like me, you remember what it was like 25 years ago before the internet. Television viewership was not fragmented. People sat down on their couches and had appointment viewing to watch The Office on Thursday night at 7 o'clock every Thursday night on NBC and NBC News and local news. It was appointment viewing. Local sporting events, live sporting events wasn't the only thing that did huge TV ratings because people would sit down and make sure they're watching all at the same time. But ever since the internet came along and has grown and grown and grown, and streaming and on demand has grown and grown and grown, and Netflix and everything else, the one thing that television hangs on to now is live sporting events. It's the one thing they have that is still appointment viewing. A live sporting event will sit people down right in front of that TV. And of course, it's still even fragmented a little bit. It's the one thing they have. So what do they want more of? That one thing, live sporting events. They can't get enough of it. And so if ESPN can create 100 bowl games, quote unquote, they're going to do it. They're going to do it because they have to. They have nothing more valuable to sell to advertisers to make the billions of dollars they make than a live picture of the ball in the air, any ball in the air. Is it kicked? Is it hit? Is it thrown? Is it caught? It's the most valuable thing they have. If they can create more of it, they will. And it works in conjunction with that. Okay? Makes sense? I think it does. I think we got it. All right, let's see where we are. Free American texted the show, Country Please, and text line 885-ESPN. He said, you were talking about bowl games. If the SEC wins the Outback Bowl, then we can get a free bloomin' onion. Okay. If that other group wins, it's coconut shrimp. Really? I did not realize that's how that worked. Thanks for educating me on that. Bloomin' onions, man. That's a great thing, huh? You ever tried to make one of those at home? I'm thinking about it. Mac in Vicksburg says, I'm a fan of having 8 playoff teams, 5 conference champions, and 3 at large. Mac, I personally also love the idea of conference champions being valued in advancing to a playoff thing. I think that would be healthy because what it would do is inject the importance right back into the regular season in your conference. But you got too many who think, oh, no. Power 5. Who says you're the Power 5? So. But I agree with you. I like the whole conference champion thing. I say include more of them, the better. But a lot of people don't care what I think. Anthony from Tupelo says, just a hypothetical discussion. I heard this question on a podcast earlier. If State, Vandy, and Arkansas all make it to Omaha, Vandy and Arkansas are the 1 and 2 seed, which bracket would you want State to be in? Whew. Well, I think you want to play Vandy because I just think Arkansas is better. That's what I think. Vandy sure can pitch it. I know that much. You know, maybe even a better question, Anthony, is 3-game series because you're going to have a best of 3 in a championship. So if you had to match up in a 3-game to win it all against one of those two, who's it going to be? Then you probably don't want to match up with Vandy because they've got Rocker and Leiter. So it's like a pick your poison thing. Noxapater Luke texts the show. He said, if like in the past, the Outback Appetizer deal is a customer promotion for a limited time. Okay, we got it on the Bloomin' Onion deal. Thanks, Luke. Tyler said, people are tired of seeing the same 4, but expanding isn't the answer. Find a way to encourage more parity so that the competition for the 4 spots is increased. Increased spots just creates the illusion of being legit while creating a rotating group of sacrificial lambs for those same 4 to 6 top teams. Well, I think there's truth in your analogy, Tyler, there's some truth in where you're coming from. Adding more teams to a quote-unquote expanded playoff does not guarantee you're closing the gap on the same 4 teams being in the last game anyway every year. It doesn't close that gap. It changes things, but it doesn't necessarily close that gap. What does close the gap is, is everybody on the same level playing field when it comes to recruiting? Now, that's a hard question to answer, because in every sport, some teams and programs have recruiting advantages naturally and legitimately over others. I mean, you look at baseball. Do you, regardless of how much scholarship you're being offered, regardless of how much it may cost your family out of pocket to go, just on experience, if you're a player, do you want to go to Mississippi State and play baseball in front of 10,000 people a game on SEC weekends? Or do you want to go to Tulane, not considering anything else, and go play in front of about 1,000 people every weekend in that competition? Well, I mean, pretty much anybody's going to answer that one way. Yeah, they want to play on the higher level in front of the more people. Now, baseball's not the best example. So, I mean, in football, they're all giving out full scholarships. But is it more attractive to most guys to go play for Alabama in Bryant-Denny in front of 100,000, or to go play full scholarship for South Alabama at Hancock-Whitney Stadium in front of about 10,000 on the weekends? Well, there's no comparison there between the two offers, even though the scholarships are the same. So some places have inherent recruiting advantages. My thing is, are there other things you could do, to close that gap? Well, I'm sure there are. I do know this, though. When you back up to 10,000 feet, strange things happen. Strange things start to happen when the opportunity is just opened up to more people in more areas. That has always been the case in everything. So we'll see if it's the case in football. I love the discussion. A lot of text to get to. I promise I'm coming straight to them next on the Country Pleasing text line. Y'all stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden, as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jello instant pudding.
So does he. It's the Matt Wyatt Show. Nobody breaks down quarterback play better than him. And he's right here, right now, online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
I mean, it really is fascinating to me, the era that we live, the things that we are living through and seeing changes in college sports. It just, I'm starting to slowly but surely just let go of the idea that things are going to settle in to kind of where they are. It's going to just settle in and be solidified and stay right there. Things are just going to stay there for the foreseeable future. I mean, we just may see changes from time to time, change it up, because the interest and the intrigue really goes up. I was reading this paragraph. The college football playoff, they released it, the committee released that the working group, it's made up of SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby, Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson, and Notre Dame Athletics Director Jack Swarbrick. They are studying 6, 8, 10, 12, and 16 team formats. And then it said it's still possible the commissioners decide to stay at 4 teams, but the momentum seems to favor expansion. I think it's great. Keep changing it up until you feel like you kind of get it right. And it ain't about, let's keep changing things until we can get Clemson out of there. No, that's not it. It's just, it's kind of like, when you have it. And sometimes you might not even be able to specify it, but you also know when you don't have it. Right now, you're kind of close. I mean, you're getting the best teams in there. But what's happened is, it really ain't the best. Okay, what's happened is it's starting to get stale. You know how it is. Like, you've been there. Jason, I'm coming right to you here on the phone, but y'all listen. Y'all have all been there. I've been there a million times in my life, it seems like. I'll get on some kick, and I'm like, oh, this is good. Like a certain food or something, a certain snack, something I like. I'm like, oh, this is good. And I start eating that really often. And it's great. And I sing, and man, I love it. I'm going to eat this the rest of my life, And then after about a year, 2 years, you're like, it ain't that great. It's not what it's cracked up to be. I remember in Prattville, Alabama, summer of like 92, 93, somewhere around in there, we got a new Chinese food place with takeout. And it was small and convenient. They were really fast, and you could pick it up and get out of there quickly. You didn't have to like go in and stay in line or sit down and all. We'd do these to-go orders. Everybody, it was just news. Everybody's talking about this one place. And I went in there one day, and I got sweet and sour chicken with rice or something, and a little takeout deal. I started eating, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had. And I think I had a job that summer, and like almost every day after work, I went and bought some of that and ate it. It's the best thing ever. Well, frankly, after about 2 months of eating way too much of that, it started just not to taste as good. And then I was done with it. And I don't know if I've ever had sweet and sour chicken since. Now, maybe I overdid it. But, things get stale sometimes. Nothing wrong with changing it up. Jason in Flagstaff hanging on line 1 of the Davini phone. What's up, Jason?
No, nothing much. I got a question about this expansion stuff. You remember 2014, right? When State was really good and was in and out of the playoff rankings and all that stuff. And they played that Georgia Tech team. That they were like 12 points away from being undefeated all year long, and they had lost those 2 games in the middle of the year, and then were just killing folks at the end. What happens if that team makes the playoffs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, running the option.
I mean, we all know Alabama would just smoke Big Ten champion Michigan State or whatever. But how would they do with a team that's loaded with talent that might have lost a game or 2 and gets into the playoffs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at with expansion. It's not so much as getting a Pac-12 champion in there that it probably stinks. It's those teams that struggled just a tiny bit somewhere and got it going at the end of the year and gets in.
Yeah.
It's something that interests me.
It's really interesting point you bring up, Jason. I can't help but think I'm going way outside the box here. I'm just going to ask a question. If you have an expanded playoff and as many as 12 teams getting in it, would a team that runs the triple option and is really, really good at it and could get in the playoff, would they have some sort of weird advantage in a playoff scenario against all those playoff teams in that nobody wants to try to defend that in the playoffs?
I would guess so, since it was either the year before or the year right after that Alabama played a little Georgia Southern, and they ran for like 1 million yards against Alabama. They didn't come close to winning, but their option definitely worked.
Let me ask you one more hypothetical. We already have players opting out of these inconsequential bowl games, right? If it's a 12-team playoff, and let's say there's a particular year when, like 2014, close to the end of the year, both State and Ole Miss are ranked in the top 10. And you're approaching the Egg Bowl, and the teams are pretty much in the playoff. Let's just say let's just do one team. That's even more likely. Let's say you got, 1 year Mississippi State's ranked number 8 in the country, and they're almost like guaranteed a spot in the playoff the way this thing's going to shake out, because the only teams ahead of them is in their own division, and it's Alabama, and they're going into the Egg Bowl. Does the Egg Bowl all of a sudden take on a little less importance because one of those teams is playoff bound?
I can only go off the number of times Alabama is boat raced Auburn. I don't remember anybody checking out of that game.
You got a good point. You're right. I mean, they're in the playoff and they're going to Atlanta, but they beat Auburn pretty regularly. That's a good point. Thanks, Jason.
All right, bye-bye.
I wondered if that's where we were going to go. Yeah, Alabama. They hadn't let off the gas against their buddies from Auburn, have they? All right, back over to the text line. Doggone. So Kobe's argument about increasing the number of teams won't affect the same teams in the Final Four. He says he disagrees. Look at the basketball and baseball tournaments. It's hard to predict the Final Four in basketball and baseball teams in Omaha. It is. But, in basketball, everybody's getting a full scholarship, and there's 300 and something Division I teams. In baseball, there's 299 Division I teams. They're not even getting full scholarships. There's some of your reasons for parity. In football, you've only got 120 Division I teams. And frankly, about half of those that are quote-unquote Division I can go undefeated until the cows come home, and they still will never put them in the playoff because the schedules are so different and short. Football's different. Mansplain says, Matt, I disagree. College football needs the West Coast. We need USC and UCLA to continue to grow the game. Yeah, I mean, I know you say disagree, but I agree with that idea. It's got to become less regional and more national. I agree with that. Kobe texted and said, brands will change with coaches. When Dabo leaves Clemson, they won't be there as much. When Saban is gone from Alabama, they will fall. He says, wait your turn. May have a good point. Jason, who was just on the phone, he texted us a while ago, and he said, Grand Canyon of talent or not, you give the coach X at Boise State enough chances, eventually they're going to beat Alabama. I'd much rather see that every year or two than keep watching Alabama destroy Michigan State or whatever overrated, quote, big brand but overrated conference champion is in there. Denzel said, if the FCS Division II, Division III can make a 2014 playoff work, surely the Division I can make a 12-team playoff work. Yeah, I mean, they can. It's just a matter of do they want to make it work. Go look up Mike Leach's postseason rant about the postseason several years ago at Pac-12 Media Days. It's hilarious, and he's right. Dog Tire says, bloviate. He said, your vocabulary is impressive. I have quite a vocabulary. Stand back. Ellis Shoe says, right back at you, Mr. Wyatt. The more bloviation, the better. LOL. Pookie says, well, you could possibly catch Vandy having to put Rocker on an off day. Yeah, I mean, you could if you were in that side of the bracket, depending on when you ran up against him. But, it's kind of a matchup thing, too. I mean, Arkansas, they're not the best pitching staff, but, man, the way they swing the bats and they hit for power, they are just like a walking extra base hit. Real Eric says, well, yeah, that scenario you had earlier, you go play for the Tide because you get a charger and a bag full of money. Is that it? Is that it, Eric? And on that same recruiting note, we were making those comparisons earlier. Somebody texted and goes, you mean unequal in that Bama can pay recruits whatever they want while Ole Miss gets 4 years of probation for letting the player keep a rental car for too long. Little hyperbole in there. Little hyperbole. We get your point. But there is definitely some hyperbole in there. That's going to wrap up hour number 2. And look, I got more texts to get to. Mac and Tyler and Hornet and Mansplain and Unnamed and Gator Nation and all y'all. We'll do it in hour number 3. We've got time. So my encouragement to you is to just stick around. If you leave us, have a great night. If not, I hope you'll stick around for hour number 3.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, Percy.
There's a lot of noise when it comes to 5G.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out. Okay. And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden, as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at the Zone 1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Lot going on, a whole lot going on. Welcome in. Hour number 3 of the show. Hour number 3 every day presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville, Stark Vegas, however you want to say it. Go to Overstreet Properties, overstreetproperties.com. Either buying a home permanently, going to move to Starkville. Need a condo when you come into town for ball games. Maybe you have a student that's going to go to school there. You need to start the process of finding that apartment they're going to lease and call it home for a semester or two. That too. Go to Overstreet Properties. Check them out, overstreetproperties.com. Tell them I sent you. See Kane over there, and he'll get you squared away. All right, so get those comments coming in. Hit me up on Facebook, YouTube, on the live stream. Shoot me a text on the Country Pleasing text line. It's 885-ESPN 601-885-ESPN or 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, the number 995-1059. Okay, so texts from earlier. Let me get to a couple things. Brown Hornet texted us, and he said, Matt, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. A playoff system with teams picked by a bunch of folks in a room will never be fair. There needs to be a playoff system of 8 to 10 conference champions and that'll be about as fair as it gets. Conference champions. Conference champions is not arbitrary. Conference champions is exact. Well, Matt, different conferences have different ways of determining their champion. Okay, so what? It's still earning it on the field, and you can't fool me. Now, we can argue that so-and-so official blew a call, and therefore we lost a game that knocked us out of the championship. Okay, that's different. You know? But we can't argue who the conference champion is. And doggone, if you emphatically say the conference champion goes to the playoff, it's so simple. Oh, Matt, I don't want to hear that because you're telling me, Matt, that, you know, the conference champion from the AAC, UCF or Cincinnati or somebody is a better team and more deserving of being in our exclusive playoff than, 11-1 LSU out of the SEC that didn't get in the championship game because Alabama beat them and went 12-0. You telling me they're better than LSU? In fact, I am not telling you they're better than LSU. In fact, I would never say that they're better than LSU. In fact, it doesn't matter if they're better than LSU if you're the conference champion. And you include that conference among those that can just shoot their champion right on into the playoff, then it doesn't matter if they're better than LSU. Put them in there. It ain't about getting the 4 best teams. We're getting the 4 best teams. It's about putting the 4 best teams in there, Matt. Is it? Mm-hmm. Because there's always an argument of who's 4 and who's 5, and who's 6 and who's 4. It's always an argument. It's about putting the 4 best teams. I want the 4 best teams. That's what I want. Dadgummit, I want the 4 best teams. Well, whose word are you taking? Best, arbitrary, at best. That's all it is. They get the same ones in there. They keep winning. Yeah. Because we put them in there. Because they passed the eye test. Not only win the games, they won a conference championship. Some of them didn't get in the conference championship game, still got in the playoff. Why? Because they're the best teams. And lo and behold, those schools tend to get the best players. Isn't that amazing how that works? But if you win your conference championship and you're in, Oh. That takes the guesswork out, doesn't it? It sure does. All right. Tyler texted and he says 6 teams, 5 conference champs, and 1 at-large. 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, 1 and 2 gets a bye. 1 versus the 4-5 winner, 2 versus the 3-6 winner, then play the championship. Boy, Tyler, it sounds so simple. I like the way you say that. This format strengthens conference importance. Yeah, there you go. Mac in Vicksburg said, how do they plan to get 12 down to 2? I don't know. Thankfully, I don't have to know. I'm not on the committee. Mansplain says, in that scenario, the Egg Bowl would have even more interest if State lost. They'd be out of the playoff. Yeah, knock each other out of the playoff. Yeah, that's it. What if you're safely in the playoff? You got to play more games. And starting running back is a little banged up. He ain't playing in that game. We got to get him ready for the playoff. Say what you want, but that's just the fact of the matter. That's okay. It's part of it. Real unnamed texter says, I'm tired of what? He says 13 people. Most of them have not played football. Tell me who the 4 best teams are. Also, for the people that say that they wanted the regular season to matter, he says it doesn't matter if a conference champion doesn't make the playoff. He wants conference champions. Regular season doesn't matter if you can be a conference champion and not make the playoff. Whew. Boy, howdy. Now, I've been wanting to get to this one. Gator Nation texted the show. He signed off with TB12 GOAT, but he simply said, I love the Leach playoff idea. Well, why don't we go back in time and listen to Mike Leach at Washington State ranting about the playoff? I don't even know when this is from. It's from a while back. Let's listen.
You know, it doesn't matter with the East Coast or Los Angeles or anybody in between things. All of a sudden, there's 16 teams. Oh, geez. Number 16 beat number 4. Well, screw number 4. Number 4 is out, you see, because number 16 got them. You know, I mean, that'd pretty well solve all of it, wouldn't it? And then 32. You could easily do 32. And then the other thing that I think college foolishly does is they just give the NFL December. I mean, there's no sense in that. I mean, you could be having playoff games there in December, and everybody could potentially live happily ever after. And then the other thing is you could even sort the schedule in such a way that you have an off week 1 week, half of America has an off week 1 week, the other half has an off week the next week, and you never have to play somebody after the off week. You know, the most stunning thing, and I give this lecture probably 3 times every year, but then college football says, they scratch their head and they give a really befuddled, mixed up look, and they get a really screwy expression on their face. Like, well, how can that possibly be? I mean, how can we do that? I mean, how is it possible that you could actually have a playoff format in college football? Well, gee, I don't know. Let's start with, we can go down to the local city park, and I'll bet you somebody that handles youth football could tell you how to do something like that. Well, that's too low of a scale. Let's move it up a little bit. Okay, how about high school from a major state? Let's say Texas, Florida, or California. Let's see how they do it. Okay, let's see. These guys, you know, they win a certain number of games. They have a qualification. Okay, now, boom, they're in the playoffs. But they don't have just 2 or 4 teams or something. Hell no, because they want everybody to have fun and enjoy this playoff system. Okay, so then they play each other, and everybody's on the edge of their seat going to wait and see if this team's going to beat that team or going to beat the other team. And so then, in the end, there's occasionally a debate. If only this team hadn't lost to that team in this round, then this team could have won the whole thing, and that's perhaps true. But the thing that is indisputable is that at the end of the gauntlet, this team came out on number 1, and there's no debate whatsoever who's state champion. And then you can go to Division III. Let's see, how do they do it? Oh, they do it the exact same way. Okay, now the suspense is really starting to get thick because, you know, Division II might do it differently. No, in fact, they don't. They do it exactly, boys and girls. like Division III does. And then now they've changed the initials because in this era of political correctness, they love to change initials and make it proper to say things one way instead of another. And I forget what the initials is. But then they go to 1AA. Okay, at 1AA. How do they do it in 1AA? 1AA. I mean, because that's getting closer to us, and we're really sophisticated because we're major 1A. How do they do it in 1AA? You know what? They have a playoff for it, Matt, and they play it and they figure it out. and then, okay. Well, they're all below us. Okay, what about above us, the NFL? And everybody, that just makes you feel good to roll those initials off your. It's like Huckleberry Finn said. Some days I just have to swear to get a good taste in my mouth. Okay, so then NFL. Now that makes my mouth feel good, because that's the best and they're the top. Let's see here. How did they figure out their champion? Well, they in fact organize a playoff system. And how many teams are in there? A hell of a lot more than 4. And then they sort it all out. And then they have one battle after the next. And at the end, guess what? They sort out a champion. And it's called the Super Bowl. And there's not interest diminished because people are captivated by the playoffs. And the biggest sporting event every year in the history of the world is the Super Bowl. Okay, any questions?
I can't get enough of it. Let's see, now the suspense is really, what do you say? Now the suspense is really starting to build. That's Division III, because now we're Division II. Surely they do it differently. No, in fact, they don't. They do it exactly the same as Division III. That is classic Mike Leach press conference from his days at Washington State. State grad 98 is on the Divinity Equipment phone line on line 1. Let's see what he says. What's up, State grad 98?
Hey, man. Glad you gave my call. I have a question.
Right.
With the playoffs, like there's the 4 teams. Alabama makes the playoff. How's that money spread? Does it spread within the SEC or just go to Alabama?
Well, I could look it up. It's my understanding that there's obviously like a bonus for the team that is in the playoff themselves. Now, I don't know that it's like a direct payment to that school, but there's all those advantages, and somehow they benefit a little more, right, for being in that particular bowl game, because different bowl games have different payouts for the teams that are in it, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of that bowl revenue, like it goes to the SEC and then it is distributed among other SEC members as well. And in the SEC, you have equal revenue sharing. So the money that goes into the conference coffers in the SEC gets divided equally among the 14 teams. It's not that way in other conferences, like the Big 12, I know is not that way. Texas is getting an overwhelming share, and some of the other teams get crumbs, and that's dumb it's always been dumb on Texas's part, because you think, oh, well, they're benefiting financially. Yeah, they kind of are, but they already have more than they know how to spend, and all in the world it's doing is weakening their own conference around them. It's really stupid what Texas does.
Right. Now, my question is like, if we expand the playoffs to 12, we have more SEC teams in there. Wouldn't that benefit, like Mississippi State, and the other teams in the league?
Well, yeah, if you're if you've got the equal revenue sharing, sure, yeah, there's more money coming in.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because I'm worried about this even more so than any other conference.
Yeah.
But my other thing is, why be upset they're trying to make money? I mean, the kids in the schools are getting more exposure, like was said, and hey, if Ncaa can make more money off of it, hey, that's more money going back to the institution. That maybe go back to help support, these the non-revenue sports that they're offered or activities. Have as many as you can, make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
If we don't want to see it, all we have to do is not watch. Eventually something will happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
but anyway,
what I think is, what you're pointing at is, a lot of this, I think they probably realize, honestly, in the across the spectrum of televised live sports right now, they probably recognize that they are leaving a little money on the table by not having more teams involved in their playoff. They probably are realizing that and weighing it out as we speak. Good call.
Right. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's just like, that's like the more sponsors you get for your show, does that mean the more money goes in your pocket? I'm just asking. I mean, you don't have to answer that.
No, yeah, that's
but
true.
That's the same thing. So why not? I mean, why not? If it's going to generate more money for the schools and, and I don't know. I just don't understand why people would be against that.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm okay with changing it up just because I'm just a little tired of what we have. And it's, as a fan and an onlooker, right now, the fact that right now, and we could say this, we were able to say this past January, the fact that right now we can go ahead and tell you who's 3 of the 4 teams that are in the playoffs next year, and with relative certainty, the 4 teams that are in the playoff next year. We can go ahead and tell you that. And we haven't even had preseason practice yet. That's just not good, And what we can say is, back in the BCS days, you were never that certain of who the computer was going to spit out at the end of the year. We had an idea, but we were never that certain in April or May. Man, we're sitting here right now in April or May. I'm 100% certain of about 3 of the 4 teams that'll be in the playoff, and would actually bet money on it if I was a betting man.
Yeah. Now, if I was Alabama, Ohio State, or Clemson, I probably wouldn't want it, because that means I have to play more games, and the more likely I am to have a bad game and get upset, and that's going to cost me a national championship.
Yeah.
Whereas, the way it is now, you have to play 2 solid games, and hey, you win it.
Right. Well, it's interesting. Thanks for the call, State Grad. Appreciate it. Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because like I played you earlier, here's Nick Saban in a comment yesterday, and he is against expanding the playoffs.
Well, I think the playoff, as I said many years ago, when we first had just 2 teams in the playoff, and we expanded to 4, that the more playoffs we have, the less significant bowl games are going to be. So it's really not for me, and I don't think I'm even capable of judging how significant the positive self-gratification so many players get, so many programs get, so many coaches get for being able to go to a bowl game. And now everything is shifted to the 4 teams in the playoffs, and the bowls seem to be pretty insignificant. So I think if we expand the playoffs, you're going to see a continuation of that trend where the bowl games become less and less significant. And maybe these 2 things can't coexist. But if they're going to coexist, maybe we should try to, leave them pretty much the same. But I know there's a lot of interest in the playoff. But the other thing that I would be concerned about is, how many games should we really play? The SEC championship game, to me, if you look at all the years we played in it, most of those games were playoff games. We were playing somebody in the top 5. And had an impact on who got into playoffs or who got in the championship game. So you're going to eliminate that so you can have more playoff games, or we're going to play less games in the regular season so we can have more playoff games. I think there's only so many games in these guys. They're student athletes. They're not just football players. So I think some of those things have to be taken into consideration as well.
What do you think? That's Nick Saban yesterday talking about this playoff expansion idea. Joe texted the show and he said, you cannot have a playoff where a total of teams are going to divide by 3. 12 will not work. Yeah, unless you have a certain number of buys, right? Right. So, because what I'm reading, they're studying different models, including 6 teams, 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams, and 16 teams. Mike Leach says he wants 32. Let's see. Let's throw this in there. Can the commissioners convince their presidents to expand? The college football playoffs 12-year contracts with ESPN and the 6 major bowls run through the 2025-26 season. And it'd be complicated to change it before that, according to this article that I'm reading. However, if there is a consensus to expand sooner than that, the 2023 season would make a logical sense, as it's the beginning of the last 3-year semifinal rotation that you have on paper right now, which is Rose, Sugar, Orange, Cotton, Fiesta, Peach Bowl. And they could look at it that fall or winter, it says. I didn't even know that there was one. There is a college football playoff management committee. Did y'all know that? So that's those FBS commissioners plus Jack Swarbrick, the AD at Notre Dame. They have a board of managers for the college football playoff. That's a panel of presidents and chancellors. And they're all having a big powwow in Dallas in late June, June the 22nd, out in Dallas. Quite interesting. It's interesting. That's what I think. I think it's very interesting. So also, I continue to get texts about it, including one here that's referencing something from Coach Sherrill. I got to see what that is. Well, it's not a text from Coach Sherrill. No, it's a text about him, and I'll let you know what that is coming up next. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stay with me.
This is Jake, and I want to tell you, home is the most...
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank. Because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
And comes with an absolute guarantee of satisfaction. You wash your hands and brush your teeth every day. Now it's time to start cleaning your nose with Navage. At Navage.com, CVS, Walgreens, Bed Bath, Target, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com today. That's Babbel.com.
Come on, let's go! Let's go! Go! With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. The guy who, if he's not talking sports, hey, he's fishing for bass, okay? But he's right here, right now. Online at 1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, here we go. Rolling along with you here, hour number 3, presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. See my friend Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. You can find the contact info online, overstreetproperties.com. So moving to Starkville, going to stay there over the weekend, several weekends, need a condo, leasing an apartment, anything residential in Starkville, that's where you need to go. If you're watching the live stream right now, Facebook, YouTube, bottom of the screen, it's scrolling across there. Just as a reminder, overstreetproperties.com. On this day, April 28, 2011.
With the first pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Cam Newton, quarterback, Auburn.
Auburn, huh? Cam Newton from Auburn. Little War Eagle up in here. First pick overall this day, 2011. Newton goes to Carolina. Name one guy who played 1 year in the SEC that was ever better than him. Well, you can't. That's just the fact of the matter. You can't. Can't name one guy who only played 1 year that was any better than him. Did he only play 1 year, though? Did he ever take a snap while he was at Florida? Did he earn a letter as a Florida Gator before he transferred out of there as Tim Tebow's backup? Gosh, what a question, because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I just knew he was there. Wound up JUCO, then he goes Auburn, and that 1 year at Auburn, oh my goodness. It didn't take long. Early in that year, in 2010, there was a non-conference game, and I saw the highlight. I wasn't even watching it live, and I saw the highlight, and I went, look at him. I mean, he was so big, 6'6", 255, 260 pounds, had a waist about a 32, maybe, running a legit 4.5, outrunning people. Just looked like like he was athletically on a different level than everybody on the field. And then early in that year, he had that one play against LSU. Remember that? People forget. You could not stop him. You couldn't stop him. State that year did about as good a job as anybody did and had the close game. Was it 17-10 or 17-13? And then later in the year, you remember, they start to knock him. Well, he's big and he's fast. He's Superman, basically, athletically, but he ain't that great a thrower. He can't really pass the ball. And he went into Oxford and looked like Joe Montana throwing the ball. And anybody who said he couldn't throw had no clue what they were talking about. You could watch him mechanically, and I'm telling you, is like picturesque. Cam Newton's mechanics, when he would set up in the pocket and throw, arm slot and footwear, it's like perfect. Anybody who ever knocked his ability to throw the ball had no clue what they were looking at all. And I'm watching the whole year going, I've never seen anything like this guy. Never seen anything like him. I still don't think I've ever seen anything like him. People forget how good he was in 2010. Go back and watch the highlights. They couldn't stop him. Nobody could do anything with him. He was that good. 4 years earlier, same day, April 28th, 2007.
With the first pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select quarterback Jamarcus Russell, LSU.
Bottom line to me, and I've watched every one of his game tapes. I was at his pro day. I played against Elway and Marino in college. I never thought I'd see anything like it. I'm not telling you that this is going to be the best player ever. What I am telling you is he's got the physical skill set better than any quarterback I've ever seen in my life coming out of college football.
No, my heavens to Betsy. Oh, my heavens. Better hold on to that tiger, Mike Mayock. Now formerly the analyst for the NFL Network, and now the GM for the Oakland Raiders. He's John Gruden's boss. Better than anybody I've ever seen coming out of college football. Woo! What happened to Jamarcus Russell? Is it well documented at this point? You know, and I don't know that people were saying that. What Mike Mayock said about Jamarcus Russell should have been applied to Cam Newton. Now, he didn't win a Super Bowl in Carolina. He got him there. Didn't win it. Didn't jump on the fumble. Remember that? Seemed to be downhill from then. I can totally understand why. If you're a teammate, you're like, hold on, man. Why wouldn't you jump on that ball? I get it. And then some of the other stuff started to, I think, play a factor. You know, it just is. When you kind of make, win or lose, you make the post-game press conference. kind of about me, and look at how I'm dressed and all, then make a show out of it. I just think it hurts you, and I think that stuff started to hurt him. But now he's in Patriots red and blue, and he'll be back there this year. Sven on YouTube pointing out 2011, one of the great draft classes. J.J. Watt, Cam Newton, Von Miller, Julio Jones, Richard Sherman in there also out of Stanford. Are they going to trade Julio? Are the Falcons really going to trade Julio? Surely not. Surely they're not going to trade Julio Jones. Huh? Surely not. All right, back over to the text line. Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. Kyle B. said, Cam was a beast. People don't like him too much now, but they must have forgotten who he was. Let me tell you, man. I haven't forgotten it. Never seen anything like it. What he did that one year at Auburn. You know, a one-man wrecking crew. He was Superman. It was incredible. Jason in Flagstaff texted the show. He said, you should have played this instead of the Auburn fight song for Cam Newton. All right, what is it? $1 Million Man's WWF theme song? Is that the one where everybody has a price? Jason, you're on a roll today, man. You're on a roll. Everybody has a price. Well, and Jason, your thought there is in the same line of thinking as that poor whoever it was that got fired in Tuscaloosa that year. Remember that? Speaking of Cam Newton 2010 and the greatness that was that year, go look at what he did in the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. Okay, this connects, Jason. Remember he came out for pregame warm-ups? He came out early, and the PA guy who was playing music played the song really loud over the PA at Bryant-Denny, Go On, Take the Money and Run. And everybody noticed it. It was super intentional, and the kid got fired, from his whatever job he had for doing that. Yeah, and Alabama proceeded in that Iron Bowl at home in Tuscaloosa to jump out to a 24-0 lead in the first half. 24-0. And out of the halftime lock, I think Auburn scored right before half, made it by like 24-7 maybe. And Cam Newton brought them all the way back and won the stupid ball game in the second half of the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. You'll never see anything like it again. You'll never see anything like him again in college football. It'd be a while. All right, little time left with you. I'm glad because I got some more things I want to put in your lap. So stick around. Still a little ways to go.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
More of the Matt Wyatt Show.
We have another totally awesome episode for you today.
And it's streaming right now online at thezone1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
All right, back with you. Hour 3 presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. By the way, today is National Denim Day. Did you know that? It is. You like denim? I'm wearing some right now. Yep, those custom fit jeans from Blue Delta. Check them out, BlueDeltaJeans.com. Go to the virtual tailor, answer the questions, fill it out, and then when you place your purchase online, use my name. You get a 10% discount off your purchase. Just use the code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, no spaces, Matt Wyatt at checkout. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Go get some. Custom fit for you. One size fits one. They're made just for you, and they will fit fantastic. You will love them. The best feeling denim you've ever put on National Denim Day. Check that out. Just a quick heads up on one thing here. The Broncos have traded for Teddy Bridgewater. You may or may not have seen that. It's today, news today. The Broncos have traded for Teddy Bridgewater. The Broncos have sent their 6th round pick this year to the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers took a 6th round pick from the Broncos and just sent Teddy Bridgewater straight out to Denver. And yeah, so Saints fans, guy who really helped y'all win 6 games in the absence of Drew Brees a couple years ago, on to a new spot. He's out of the division now. He's headed out to Denver, goes out to the AFC West. Louvier. Oh, let me give you an update. Here's one more quarterback. Stephen Jones of the Dallas Cowboys says Dak Prescott's going to be 110% when the season starts.
Where we sit right now, couldn't be happier. I'm sure y'all get peeks out on the field. He's just doing an amazing job of his work ethic. Of course, it's contagious with his teammates. You know, one of the things that stuck out about Dak's leadership last year is, you know, he was right back in the facility right after he was hurt, and you know, he's just you know, his leadership is elite, and of course he's doing that out on the field, and he's just making a tremendous amount of progress, and we feel he'll be 110% ready to go.
110%. Doesn't exist, but we get the point. Mike McCarthy, the coach of the Cowboys, says Dak Prescott's rehab's going well.
Well, he's made a lot of progress lately. Actually, I was able to watch him work Saturday, and it is probably his most extensive work so far. So he's throwing. You know, he's throwing now. So they're doing the footwork drills. So he's made a lot of progress. Very disciplined in his regiment. You know, he's here almost every day. So I'd say he's right on track, or maybe even a little ahead of schedule.
What accent is that? What accent is that from McCarthy? Anybody know? All right, Louvier on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-ESPN. Louvier texts the show, and he says, what they didn't measure on Jamarcus Russell was the lazy factor. Sign a $60 million contract, then decide, why work hard? The money's in the bank. You can't measure heart or lack thereof. They better figure that part out before you go paying these guys. That's one thing you never have to worry about with Dak, is it? Let me ask you this. All things being the same, internally, what if Dak Prescott had Jamarcus Russell's body and arm? Or let's just say this, all things being the same. Jamarcus Russell, what if he had in his heart and in his head what Dak Prescott's got in his? What do we have then? Speaks to what Louvier's saying. What's most important here, really? Flowwood Reb says, obviously, football is a team game where you have to have many good ball players. Having said that, imagine what Mississippi State's 2010 team could have been if Cam Newton was a quarterback. And obviously, they were pretty close to getting him. Likewise, the 2003 Ole Miss team, what it could have been, would have been, if they had D'Angelo Williams, the kid who was at Memphis, to go with Eli Manning. And they were close to doing that as well. Just a thought on how close both, in hindsight, were. Yeah, a transcendent player or two. A lot of people believe whatever the Newtons were asking, you should have figured out a way to pay it and figure the rest out later. Maybe, maybe not. Easy for us to say in hindsight. Gator Nation gave me the story. Okay, the videotape story about Jamarcus Russell. Okay, here it is. So the coach gave him a tape after practice, said, it's full of plays. They call them cut-ups in football. We got your cut-ups here. Go home, watch it, and then come back. Tell us what plays you're comfortable with. The next day they asked him, did you watch the tape? He said, yeah, I'm good with all those plays. I can do it. I can do all that, the coach said. The coach said, Jamarcus, I gave you a blank tape. Busted. Busted. Ready, Teddy says, you mean to tell me that Mississippi State beat Clemson, as in the Clemson Tigers in football? Get out of here. We sure did. They were different then. They were a little different back then, Teddy. Our defense beat up on them pretty good in that bowl game. We sure did. They had good-looking uniforms. I give them that. Look, the uniforms look the same. Players look a little different than they do now. Brown Hornet says, to answer your question, if Dak has Jamarcus Russell's physical makeup, I think we hold on to that number one spot a little longer. Hogjow says Dak is the ideal QB for the NFL. Tremendous work ethic, nice skills, very importantly, no drama, and a genuine nice guy. Look how far he's gotten, exceeding what some people might say are some physical limitations as compared to a lot of NFL quarterbacks. I'm just telling you, man, you get to that level, your height, your arm strength, your legs are not the most important factor. That is not what determines it. It's that stuff that Louvier says you can't measure. I'm serious. That's my story, and I will forever stick to it. I have to... I'm going to end here with 3 minutes of snippets from a story by Pete Thamel at Yahoo. None of this is going to be surprising. I'll start off with the headline. The NCAA's shame and embarrassment in extending Mark Emmert's contract. It says, and it starts with, the most galling part of the contract extension the NCAA Board of Governors gave to President Mark Emmert on Tuesday is that it was embarrassed to give it to him. Made up entirely almost of college presidents, this Board of Governors, it points this out. It's a group of people that they often pay $50,000 retainers to public relations consultants so they can use words like transparency and accountability. In the 494th word of a press release the NCAA sent out at 9:06 p.m. on Tuesday, the organization snuck in a casual mention under the heading Other Business. It said that President Mark Emmert had received a 2-year contract extension. His deal is now extended through 2025, and the NCAA poured another layer of cement on its reputation as the most dysfunctional and rudderless organization in sports. One prominent athletics director said this, stunning. And we wonder why there's no credibility in college athletics. Let me give you another one. When a group, quote, unanimously votes a wildly overpaid $2.7 million, by the way, an unpopular NCAA leader 2 more years on his contract in a 16-word press release, it's the higher education equivalent of throwing a stink bomb in a lecture hall to avoid taking a final exam. I mean, Pete is absolutely on a roll with this thing. Listen to this quote right here from, it says, another prominent athletics director. Quote, Mark getting extended to 2025 might destroy this organization. The board is delusional. Whew. Man. I mean, and by the way, this whole big steaming pile of, you know what, that came up over the last couple of weeks about, LSU's considering hiring Mark Emmert as its next chancellor. It's a lie. They're using that as leverage, an agent using that as leverage to go out here and get the Board of Governors to give him a 2-year extension. That's how crazy the whole thing is, man. I mean, it's what is it, that movie? Bring Your Brooms, because it's a mess. All right, Doggone texted us earlier. He said, Matt, your old coach Cheryl said you can really only get a team up 3 times during the year. Translated, there'd be a greater chance of Bama getting upset. Yeah, if they were playing more, more playoff games. Yeah. CWR said, Matt, you're going to have the university elites coming after you. The presidents did it. Did what? You talking about gave Mark Emmert the extension? I'm just reading what they said. It ain't my quotes, it's theirs, albeit anonymous. I'm telling you, man, Pete Thamel, that's who they're coming after. This dude at Yahoo, I'm talking about just scathing. Whew. All right. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. For Bill, I'm Matt. See you.